Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. So today is the 20th of March, and it's the first day of our Navadvipa Parikrama. And today we're going to Antardvipa. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Just been delivered a beautiful garland. So, very busy today. First day of the Parikrama. Pouring rain all day. So Krishna is cleaning the land for us. So we'll sing a bhajan and then we'll begin a description of Antardvipa. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Gauranga bolite habe pulaka sharira Hari Hari bolite nai Yane bhavinira Gauranga bolite habe pulaka sharira Hari Hari bolite nai Yane bhavinira Araka benitai chande karuna hoibe Samsara vashana mura tabe tu chahabe Araka benitai chande karuna hoibe Samsara vashana mura tabe tu chahabe Vishaya chariya kahe sudaha bemana Abe hamahirabo Shri Vrindavana Yachariya kabe Shudaha bemana Hamahirabo Shri Vrindavana Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti Tabe Hamabuja Bose Yugala Kiriti Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti Tabe Hamabuja Bose Yugala Piriti Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahu Mora Asha Pratana Koroye Sada Narotamadasa Sing. Akoroye Sada Narotamadasa Gauranga Bolite Habe Bulaka Sarira Hari Hari Bolite Na Yane Bhavenira Gauranga Bolite Habe Hari Hari bolite nayane bhavanira. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe. Oh Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Jaya Nityananda Rai Jaya Nityananda Rai Nityananda Rai Jaya Nityananda Rai Oh Nitai Hey Nitai He, oh Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He. Jaya Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachi Nandan Jaya Gaura Gaura He, 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 Gaura He. Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha, Govinda Radha, Govinda Radhe. Jaya Radha, Gopinata Radha, Gopinata Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. O Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Ganhavika Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Vrishabhanandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai, Nityananda Rai Ki Jai, Satchinandana Gaudahari Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astog Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astog Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarzara Shishimat Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarzara Shishimat Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Shila Gauri Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Vedantacharya Ki Jai. Jai Shila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai. Shila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Paradasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sigahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Shri Antatweep Mayapur Simantadweep Gautandweep Madhyadweep Koladweep Ritujweep Janadweep Modandweep Udadweep Atmaka Navadweep Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Go Govardhan Dwarasavar Matmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Ganga Jamuna Devi Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Shrimati Purnamasi Devi Yogamaya Maharani Ki Jai, Gopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai, Sarava Vigna Vinasakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, Bhakta Prava Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai, Ketra Mandal Ki Jai, um, Karamat Raj Shri Chaitanya Math Ki Jai, Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Math Ki Jai, Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koda Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagat Bhatta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gauda Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Meginati Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Priya Swarupe, Daita Swarupe, Prema Swarupe, Sahajavi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhuveka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe, Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavartinokalo, Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundaratu Dikatamba Sadipita, Sadahradare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha. Yam pravajantamanapaityamapaitikrityam Dvaipaino viraha katara ajuhava Putreti tammayatayo taravo vinirustam sarvabhutam munimanatoshmi Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay Shiptascha karmadi tarangamadye Kripamai tvam sharanam prapana Brinde namaste charanarvindam Bhajami radham aravinda netram Smarami radham madhurashmitasyam Vadami radham karuna bharadram Tato mamanasti katyena kapi Tavaivasmi najivami tvayivina Iti vignaya radhe tvam naimam charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Asto Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Asto Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. And to our dearmost Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gauda Shakti Swarapaya Rupanuga Vraite, and all the illustrious personalities within our Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. I'm offering my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhavevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnave namo namaha. So I'd just like to read the translation of that beautiful bhajan that we just sang by Narottam Das Thakur. My Gurudev has always encouraged us and explained to us that unless we can tune in, so to speak, to the personality whose heart the bhajan has manifested from, then we can't really appreciate the potency of the bhajan. So this Gauranga Bolite Habe is Narottam Das's calling, Lalasamayi. He's calling in great anguish, a mood of separation. He's saying, when will the hair on my body stand on end upon chanting Gauranga? When will my eyes overflow with tears upon chanting Hari Hari? So when will this time happen? It's saying in Srimad Bhagavatam that heart is steel framed, that actually doesn't melt with the sound vibration of the holy name, if his hairs don't stand on end. So when we hear these prayers and see or realize that, well, my hairs aren't standing on end, I'm not weeping, then we should understand our predicament, that we are full of anarthas, we're full of different shortcomings from our goal. But this is giving us an indication of what to aspire for. Narottam is filling our hearts with hope. Yes, this is our aspiration. We are pure spirit souls, and we've become covered by the material energy. And with the potency of that holy name, gradually, the covering will dissolve. And this joy, inexpressible joy, will erupt. When the heart is filled with joy, tears come to the eyes. Automatically, they just flow out of the eyes, and the hairs will stand on end. So this is the aspiration of the devotee. When will the hair on my body stand on end on chanting Gauranga? When will my eyes overflow with tears upon chanting Hari Hari? So in this land of Navadvipa, especially at this time during Parikrama, especially today in particular, it was raining from early morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's just sort of begun to ease right now. And the Parikrama didn't waver for a moment. They all rushed out eagerly to get the mercy of performing this Navadvipa Parikrama. Rain or shine, there was no bar for the mercy to fall. So all day we've been hearing the sound vibrations. reaching the sky of all these different parikrama parties, and even more intensified because of the rain. It seems everyone wasn't. I mean, if it had been blazing sun, it would have been different. But um, it was sort of there was an extra added desperation to the calling of the holy name today. It was something was made very, very deeply real about that. So it was very beautiful. And second verse, when will the moon like Nityananda Prabhu bestow his mercy upon me? When will my material desires become insignificant? So this is what's obstructing us. My material desires are obstructing me. And it's only by the moon-like, beautiful, lustrous face of our Nitai that he, in the form of Guru, Nitai is Akhand Guru Mula Tattva. So by that mercy through Guru and our Guru Vargya, all the Gurus are all um, manifesting from Nityananda, Baladev. They're all manifesting from that potency in a mood of service, that Sandini Shakti, but it's all in a mood of service to please Krishna. Balaram, when he's playing with Krishna in Vrindavan, he's constantly in a mood of service to Krishna, even though he's the elder brother, but his whole mood is to offer his services to Krishna in every single respect. Even sometimes he doesn't particularly like it, like he didn't want to fight on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, for example. So he left on pilgrimage, but even that was in service to Krishna, purifying the holy places during that devastating Kurukshetra war. But there are so many examples of his unremittent service to Krishna, constantly just bringing great joy to Krishna. And this mood of service is what the Vaishnava, the devotee, the sadhak wants to imbibe completely within his life. And we have to go through Nityananda, reach the higher stages. First of all, we're talking about the chanting. And now, secondly, we're coming to a Nityananda conception. Yes, I must have Nityananda to go to the next level. When will my mind, as a result of my renouncing material enjoyment, become purified? Yes, when we renounce the material pleasures of this world, then the mind begins to become purified, purified of our lusty desires and the intoxication of hankering after material objects. This will become purified gradually by the mercy of Nityananda. It's the mercy of Nityananda that will bring us to this um, conception. Um, when will I behold Sri Vrindavan? Yes, when will I behold the beauty of Radha and Krishna? So, by the mercy of Nityananda, I will become purified, and gradually my eyes will open, and I will actually start to recognize the beauty of Vrindavan Dham, the kingdom of Vrindavan, that eternal transcendental place where Krishna sports. When I recognize the beauty of Vrindavan, it means I recognize the beauty of the residents of Vrindavan. Who are all the personalities and what is their affection and attraction to Krishna? And when I recognize this, then I also want to participate in that pastime. I started hankering. Yes, when will I have that fortune to behold true Vrindavan? We even see in Jaivadama how Sannyasi Thakur, he has that spurti where he sees Sundara Chal. He sees the beauty of um, the spiritual realm, and he sees all the spiritual personalities. That gives him great inspiration and aspiration to attain that transcendental goal. We need those inspirations to drag us out of the shackles of tamagun and rajagun, bring us at least quickly to a mode of goodness. And then from goodness, we become more purified to Shuddha Sattva, and then even more purified beyond the gunas, the modes of material nature. When will I develop eagerness for the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, by whose mercy I will be able to understand the love, priti, of the divine couple? My heart's desire is to understand the nature of that affection, that love, that priti between Radha and Krishna, which is astonishing. We've spoken about it many, many times, how in the initial stages of like Purvarag, how it's very shy and somewhat restricted. And then gradually, it begins to unfold from there. But the power and purity and speciality of that love, and this is our life's objective, is to serve that love in some capacity or other. That will bring the jiva the greatest joy in existence. And who serves that love the most are the gopis. So we are in the anugatya of the gopis. And who is serving the gopis with the most nishta and eagerness? It's Rupa Goswami. So he's asking, when will I have that mercy of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami? This is saying, when will I develop eagerness for the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das? When will I understand that they are holding the jewel that I am desperate to attain? We have to reach this point of desperation. We spoke about this yesterday, this utsaha, or Lalastamai, this eagerness. And Narottam, all of his songs, all his bhajans are all focused in this direction of this enthusiasm. Narottam himself never had direct darshan of Sachinandan Gaurahari, but in his heart, he always longed for that darshan. So it's that longing. So we have never seen Mahaprabhu. We've seen the Murti form, etc. We've heard from Guru, etc. But we haven't had that darshan, so we should become eager to have that darshan. The Lord wants to give us that darshan. How eager are we to actually get it? Let all my hopes and aspirations remain at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Raghunath. This is the constant prayer of Narottam Das. So we want to enter into this mood. The constant prayer, constant, all 24 hours of the day, the constant prayer to get the mercy of Rupa and Raghunath, to take us into that land as maidservants of Srimati Radhika, because this was the unique gift that Sachinandan Gaurahari offered to the most fallen souls of Kali Yuga at this time. So this very beautiful bhajan, Gauranga Bolite Habe, Srila Narottam Das Thakur Ki Jai. So now we're beginning our parikrama, and if we're not already living in Mayapur or Antardvipa, we'll all take ferries and boats across the Ganga or across the Jalangi to congregate and collect at the very entrance to Antardvipa. This is traditionally where we would always have kirtans and wait for all the parties to come. And then we would start our parikrama towards Chaitanya Math and even Samulya further to Chankazi. So first of all, we have to appreciate the place of Antardvip. Why is it called Antardvip? Antar means internal. We have Antaranga Shakti. Antardvip means internal. So Lord Brahma, he was still repentant, like Indra was still repentant after committing a great offense against Brajendranandan Shamsundar in Vrindavan. Lord Brahma, he challenged the mystic potency of Krishna. He saw Agasura merge into the foot of Krishna, and he was astonished. This immense demon, and yet he's taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. He saw the actual light of his soul going into the foot of Krishna. And then he was not having confidence in the identity of Krishna at all. Lord Brahma's Ishtadev is Garbhadakshay Vishnu. And beyond that, Karnadakshay Vishnu, but Vishnu, Narayan, mood. But this young cowherd boy who just plays, lies, cheats, steals, does all kinds of things. How can this be the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So he couldn't conceive of that, which is also our challenge as well, until we become familiar with the topics about Krishna. So Lord Brahma, he stole the cows, the calves, and the cowherd boys. And after that, then he realized his great error. And Krishna revealed to him when he returned to the grazing ground. Just a moment later, it seemed, but it was a whole year in this time. And he saw that Krishna was still playing with all the cowherd boys. He had manifested all these Vishnu Murti forms from his body. So he had this vision of Krishna, and he saw his mystic opulence because he hadn't missed a step in his pastimes, Krishna. He was still Lord Brahma. He was looking with his um, two heads towards the cave where he had hidden the cowherd boys, and then looking two heads towards Krishna and seeing the cowherd boys in both instances, and was completely astonished to see them both there at the same time. And he, it's described that all his senses were completely jolted. Lord Brahma is the creator, the architect of this entire universe. He manifests all the different planets from the stem of the lotus, and he populates all the planets with all the different species and etc. of life. And he's an immensely potent personality, and yet he is witnessing this um, demonstration of mystic potency by Krishna and becomes completely stunned. And then he falls on the ground with his four helmets touching the ground and begs Krishna for forgiveness. And Krishna is just taking a little bit of achar in his hand, a bit of yogurt, and practically not even paying very much attention to Lord Brahma. But Lord Brahma requests prayers piteously for his forgiveness. And we see in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto these beautiful prayers by Lord Brahma. But still, he's not satisfied. So he comes here to Goradam. And we should understand that Sachinandan Gaurahari is an eternal personality. He only manifests briefly in the day of Lord Brahma, yet his form is eternal. It's the Supreme Lord. So he's always here. So Lord Brahma, he came and he underwent great austerities and performed great yagyas on the banks of the Ganges there at that place. And eventually, Mahaprabhu, he manifests in front of him. And then Lord Brahma, he is astonished by the unparalleled beauty of Sachinandan Gaurahari. And yesterday we were talking about where does that beauty come from? That is the beauty of Sri Radhika that is covering Mahaprabhu. So Lord Brahma becomes astonished again, but he's more composed this time because he's accepted this personality as the Supreme Lord. And he requests um, Mahaprabhu at that time, please um, allow me to enter your upcoming pastimes, because at that time the pastimes hadn't begun. They were still hundreds of thousands of years before. And then Mahaprabhu, he said, yes, you will come in a, because he wanted to enter the pastimes in a very humble way. Mahaprabhu said, yes, you will come as from a fallen Muslim family, and you will be supportive of me in my propagation of Harinam. So Mahaprabhu is seeing this. Brahma, Lord Brahma, is seeing this internally. This is his internal meditation, hence Antardvipa, this internal meditation of Lord Brahma. So he's getting benedicted and blessed by Mahaprabhu to take that birth in the future as Haridas Thakur and support Mahaprabhu in so many different ways. Mahaprabhu has come to give Rag Marg, but he's also come to give the holy name, which will increase one's ability to actually just have Shuddha Bhakti, just have pure Bhakti. So um, Mahaprabhu is uh, benedicting Lord Brahma. So Antardvip. So Then from this congregating place, we'll start to walk up. And all the way up on the right hand side as we go, there are so many different mutts the whole way up. And they're all actually emanating or manifesting from the Chaitanya Math. The Chaitanya Math was originally the seat of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. But by providence, when he left, all the his mutt broke apart, and all those prominent leaders within his mutts, they all found it um, uh, conducive for their practice to develop their own mutts, which is very helpful for us as conditioned souls. If it was always just the one singular unit, there would be some difficulties there. It would be more contentious, perhaps, within the center of that. It would be more, what do you call it, autonomous. It would be all together. Whereas when it's spread out like this, there's much more diversity. When we come to the first mat, or one of the first mats, it's the Gopinath mat of Srila Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. And the unique speciality of this personality are particular for us to meditate on and to appreciate who was this person. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj joined the mutt when he was about 24 years old. He had just finished his schooling, etc. He was a young man. Immediately, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, he engaged him in writing his daily magazine, this Dainya Nadia Prakash. And this was a service that this personality took, Srila Pramod Puri Maharaj took, with two hands, and he fulfilled that service till his dying breath. He didn't stop, and he lived for approximately, how old was he? 100 and something years old, 101, 102 years old. And he never stopped that first service that he was offered by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And his humility in particular, yesterday we were talking about the quality of humility. That person who can see Krishna in the most clear form, with the heart of his devotion, will be of the most humble nature. If someone is proud, their vision of Krishna will be very much restricted. But if someone is very much of a humble mood, then their vision of Krishna and the um, transcendental pastimes will be much more available. And Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, he really epitomized this. He didn't establish his mutt as many of the other senior god brothers of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati did quite early on. He didn't do that. He did it much, much later. He was always supporting all the other mutts of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Daita Madhav Maharaj, all these other personalities. He would support them very beautifully. He would always attend all their functions, etc., and do whatever seva was necessary. But then in his later years, then he established on the urging of, because by then he was accepting disciples, on the urging of his disciples, then he accepted that mood to begin his own institution, his own mutt of the Gopinath mutt. And when we go in there today, we go up a very beautiful, ornate arch of stairways, and we come into his samadhi, a beautiful rounded building with Srila Pramod Puri Maharaj just sitting there in the center. Very beautiful, sensitively built darshan place for the sadhaks to actually remember this personality. So we are walking through and we stop at this place. We come in here and we glorify Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj for a brief space of time. Actually, we have a long journey today, so we don't have so much time to stop at each place. You are rushing today, right? The whole parikrama, they rush. The whole thing is go, 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 go from start to finish, because actually it's a long journey. And they have to take their prasadam at perhaps Chaitanya Math or the Yog Pit. It varies from year to year. And then we have to go probably about 10 miles altogether to Antardvipa, all the way up there. And usually on most days, when we start the parikrama. It's baking hot, and walking in the sunshine from the Chaitanya Math to the Chankazi is really an austerity. But today it was quite different. Today there was rain all day and created a novel atmosphere for the first day of the Navadvipa Parikrama. So we come past this Gopinath Gaudiya Math, and then there are many mats along the way. Then we come to, I have to read these because I don't always remember the names of them. We come to, um, yes, the Sri Chaitanya Math. And the founder Acharya of this is described as Bhakti Kamal Madhusudan Maharaj. And we go in there, and they have a very beautiful diorama set up there. It's very beautiful to see the different mutts, and they're all completely unique. So we should break this conception that, oh, all devotees should be in the same sangha, they all should be the same. Yes, everyone should be like one unit, one. It will never be like that. How? I can remember when my Gurudev was invited to the Vishva Vaishnava Shaba, when this uh, um, idea from Srila Jiva Goswami came of the Vaishnava Vishva Sabha, of having all the Vaishnavas under a single flag. And we were sitting in a marquee, and there was Srila Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, there was Bhakti Ballabh Tirtha Maharaj, there were other prominent sannyasis, etc. And as they all started speaking, we were all sitting around my Gurudev at his feet, and he turned to us and just said very directly, "This will never work." Because everyone has their own unique jewel and conception of how to bring out the speciality of service to Krishna. And it's all absolutely beautiful. It's all totally wonderful to appreciate. And every mutt has its absolute jewel. So um, we should just appreciate this individuality as we walk up, and don't think, oh, how unfortunate. I've heard some souls sometimes say, how unfortunate that the original mutt all broke up. How unfortunate that my Gurudev's mutt has broken up. When I joined this mutt, we were all living in the Devananda Gaudiya mutt. And then my Gurudev left that Devananda Gaudiya mutt after some time, began his own mutt. And Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he left that institution also. So many prominent, powerful personalities, they left. And it's turned into our favor. It's not something that is to be regretted or anything like that, because they are just pushing the mission further on in its own unique way. One particular acharya, like the next place we come to, is Bhakti Dwight Madhav Maharaj. Bhakti Dwight Madhav Maharaj was a powerful personality in his own right, and his mood of service to the Vaishnavas was really extreme, we can say. He would take any um, effort to serve the Vaishnavas in all ways, and he also would attend all the different functions of all the other prominent members, all the other prominent godbrothers, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. He would attend their functions and support them to the best of his ability. And his mutt is also extremely attractive. And there we would often visit Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj. He had his shelter there. He is the disciple of Bhakti Dvaita Madhav Maharaj. And I would have never known about Srila Bhakti Dvaita Madhav Maharaj, Daita Madhav Maharaj, unless I'd had the association of Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj. So like this, these personalities, they illuminate us on all the prominent characters, personalities who took shelter of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So again, this is most fortuitous. And this is also the place of Bhakti Ballabh Tirtha Maharaj. He also stayed there in this mud. And then we go further. There's, what is it? Next one, Nanda. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Mat. This is Srimad Bhakti Vichar Yadavar Maharaj. And then again, Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, which is, we've just described this. This is Bhakti Dwight Madhav Maharaj, and Bhakti Ballabh Tirtha Maharaj was the founder, was the Acharya rather. And then the Gaura Nityananda Mandir, which is called the Sri Nandan Acharya Bhavan. Isodhyan. And this is the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets Nityananda. And if we visit there, um, even in the parikrama time or outside of the parikrama time, it's really a mystical, magical place to go, because this is where that incredible affection was demonstrated between Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. We spoke the other day how Mahaprabhu requested the kopin of Nityananda, and he was demonstrating in so many ways the glories of Nityananda constantly. He was praising the speciality and glories of Nityananda. And we witnessed the exact place where Mahaprabhu and Nityananda embraced each other and just fainted in total ecstasy. So this is the um, Gaura Nityananda Mandir. And then, of course, we come to the Sri Chaitanya Chandradoy Mandir, which is the ISKCON temple. And that is vast today. And we see the compound, etc. And they've done amazing seva. The beautiful samadhi of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, his Pushpa Samadhi, and the new Temple of Understanding, they call it. So it's very prominent and very beautiful. And I've been there sometimes on the weekends, and you practically can't, I mean, it's a big, big, big ground, and you can hardly even walk for the number of people, wealthy people who have come from Calcutta. They've all, this is fulfilling the dream of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He wanted to make a place so attractive that all the wealthy gentry from all of India would actually come and be impressed by this Vaishnava cult, this Vaishnava philosophy, and would see be attracted by the gardens, etc., and the fountains, and and hear the kirtan and the deities, etc. They are all very, very attractive. So literally millions come on some days from Calcutta, from all different parts of India, and they have the ice cream parlors there to facilitate, etc., because that's what those people actually need just to be attracted. They haven't come for the hardcore Vaishnava philosophy. They've come out of curiosity for the Videshis half the time to see the Westerners. What have they been doing? Because India has traditionally just ran behind the Western um, Asuric culture. But here's a switch around. Here are these Westerners, but they're not in an Asuric mood. They're actually propagating Vaishnavism. So they've come for a different reason. So they're curious. Indians are very curious. It's very sweet. So they've all come, and this is the dream of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And during this time, of course, they have massive book distribution of the Bhagavad Gita and so on, and all sorts of opportunities to chant Hare Krishna, etc., and take shelter, and there are devotees preaching and so on. So this is a huge push for Mahaprabhu's mission. And then we go further again on the road, and we come to Srila Vaibhav Puri Maharaj's mutt is there, which is quite small. It's right next to the Chaitanya Chandradoy. It's sort of like just an oblong place, but it's very, very beautiful. And there's a special flavor in there. Those devotees that were touched personally by Srila Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, had a special sweetness about them that was passed down through Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj. And that is resonating there amongst his shishyas because they will imbibe his teachings and his expressions. Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, he preached much about Sharanagati, the glories of Sharanagati, and the glories of Shikshastikam. He preached these two prominent teachings of Mahaprabhu. So this, we understand, is just the um, beginning, so to speak, of Mahaprabhu's gifts. Nevertheless, this has to be platform has to be made solid. So then, from Srila Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, then we come to. I think we're just going to sort of short circuit it a bit here. So we come to the um, Yog Pit, which is quite a stretch from the Srila Vaibhav Puri Maharaj. We come to the Yog Pit, and this is our congregating place, basically. The Yog Pit is why we've come to Mayapur today. Mayapur is the center of Antardvipa, and the Yog Pit is the birthplace of Mahaprabhu. It's the center of the lotus. This is the center. So I described the other day, even offering obeisances at the yoga pit today, you can sense the potency. When your head is on the ground in front of the deity, you can almost sense the magnetic energy, or something very, very special is there. It's very, very powerful. As we come in the gate, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is there residing. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was that master who put this yoga pit on the map. Without Bhaktivinoda Thakur's vision, without his diligent work and effort, this yoga pit would not be where it is today at all. We would have no idea. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that Gora Shakti, was inspired to bring Jagannath Das Babaji to that place. And we told the story the other day, how he jumped out of his basket at 140 years old and began vigorously dancing, Gaura Haribol, Gaura Haribol. And all the Vaishnavas were totally astonished. Yes, this is Maha Prabhu's Advent place. Confirmed, confirmed. So today we have this beautiful place of worship, and to appreciate this is where Mahaprabhu took his birth. And we see inside the beautiful Thakurjis, but just around the corner we see the exact tree, the neem tree, where Nimai took his birth underneath this tree. This is the same uh, jiva, the same tree my Gurudev described. The tree has since passed away, but its offspring, so to speak, has taken its place. So it's the same jiva in the tree that was there originally. It's like an Imlital. Imlital, that ancient tree from 5,000 years ago, my Gurudev says is the same tree, the same personality, but just with another form now. So we have that tree, that neem tree, to remind us that Nimai took his birth on that Falgun Purnima, and which is coming up very shortly. So we diligently offer our obeisances to that birthplace, and we remember, we sit in the huge auditorium there, which becomes totally packed every single day of this 5-day Gopuranim festival. There's no room for even anything. It's just so crowded with people, eager to hear about Nimai's childhood um, pastimes, because this is what we remember here. This is Nimai of Nadia. This is not Mahaprabhu in Puri. This is Nimai of Nadia performing his beautiful Balya Lila, his Komara Lila, these childhood pastimes in Antardvipa. And his first, most prominent pastime, immediately, almost instantly, was to demonstrate to all the ladies who would come and see him that he would only be happy and satisfied if he was hearing the Mahamantra. And immediately they were clicking into this. He would be crying, 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 and then they couldn't pacify, couldn't. Then somebody would just start singing the Hari, and then immediately he would stop. So they all understood this very, very, within a matter of days, they understood this. So Nimai, from his very birth, was encouraging and spreading the Mahamantra, this Kirtan Ras. He was spreading this from his very birth. And all the old ladies would become totally overjoyed and in ecstasy at his this mood of his chanting the holy name. And then we see Krishna was a very restless child, and Mahaprabhu, Nimai of Nadia, is exactly the same, completely restless. It indicates a most intelligent person. Krishna was so naughty. And actually, the gopis, for example, they would sing of Krishna's naughtiness, but with great happiness and expressing that they appreciated his boldness. Because Krishna was so bold, he would just walk into others' houses and steal butter, etc. He had no fear. So the gopis, they would praise this and glorify that, actually. They would see his boldness. He wasn't timid ever in any circumstance. And Nimai of Nadia is exactly the same like that. He's completely bold in his expressions of desire to be happy and play in this world with his friends. We see one time how, a huge snake came into the courtyard, and Nimai just fearlessly went and embraced that snake and lay down on that snake. Of course, this is like Ananta shape, but none of the residents could appreciate this at all. But Nimai, in his mood of boldness and fearlessness, was playing with that snake and resting, reclining on that snake. Oh, my Ananta Shesha has come. How wonderful, how wonderful. But none of the residents, they were all absolutely fearful. And they chased that snake away. And all that snake, Ananta Shesha, decided to leave, that it was causing too much commotion. But moods like this. And then when young Nimai, he saw those two dacoits, those two thieves, and they were interested in the jewelry that he had on his neck, because Sachimata would always decorate him very beautifully. He was such a well looked after child by Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata. They, because they had had 8 daughters previously who had all left this world at birth, and they had finally one son, Vishwarup, who was the most beautiful personality to look at. But in his life, he was so renounced and calm and gentle, and such a beautiful child, Vishwarup, the elder brother of Nimai. And then when Nimai took his birth, that household of Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra, their joy knew no bounds. They were just so much overjoyed. And Nimai would just naturally, the Supreme Lord, would bring joy to everybody. So when the two thieves, these two dacoits, they saw these splendid jewels on young Nimai's neck, they started to talk to him. And Nimai, in his broken language, would speak to them. They said, "Do you want to come with us for a ride?" "Oh, yes, yes, take me. I want to see more of this place, this Antardvipa." This is called Navadvipa at that time. Now, by the course of the Ganga, Navadvipa has shifted to the other side of the Ganga. But during Maha Prabhu's, Nimai's childhood pastimes, Navadvipa was on this side. And there's many proofs for this, actually, that for example, when they were excavating the Yog Pit after Bhaktivinoda Thakur substantiated this is where Nimai took birth, they discovered a four-arm form that Jagannath Mishra had worshipped. So that was on this side of the Ganga, not on that side. But there are many other conclusive evidences that this is Navadvip. So young Nimai wanted to see Navadvip at that time. So he just happily was sitting on the shoulders of these two dacoits, and they gave him a little bit sandesh, something like that, and he was very happy. And he was just holding on, being carried around, looking everything. Very curious, naughty boy, not afraid of anything. Just like when he has, like as Krishna, he just goes wandering into the forest with Baladev. Baladev and Krishna, the they were trying to convince Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba to allow them to take the calves out grazing. And Mother Yashoda was absolutely adamant, no, they cannot. They're much too young, and there's so many demons in the dark forest. And Krishna and Balaram were very unhappy about this. So they would sneak away by themselves, just the two of them, and run into the forest. And always Krishna would be leading. He would be leading a bunch of like cowherd boys who were quite shy, perhaps, but he would be boldly leading them to performing all sorts of very fearless, like running away from home into the dark forest, when he knew their mothers would be very angry that they had actually disappeared. So Nimai is the same like that. He has the same mood of total fearlessness. And so these thieves, we know that Yogamaya steps in at this point, and she bewilders the thieves after carrying um, baby Nimai around for a little while. Then Nimai becomes satisfied, and now he actually feels he wants to go home now. Now actually what he knows is that Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata and all his relatives at home are becoming absolutely distraught at where he is. He understands that it's causing a lot of disturbance in the house. So when he realizes this, then Yogamaya steps in and bewilders the two thieves. So they come around again, and all of a sudden they're right back at Nimai's house. And Nimai jumps down very quickly. Very much, thank you very much, even before they have time to do anything. And then Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, they suddenly see Nimai, and they see these two men, and they want to run out and thank them for bringing Nimai back. But these men, they run away very quickly because they're dacoits. They're not pastimes like this every day. And then as Nimai is growing up, he's becoming more. And when he's becoming about 6 or 7 or 8 years old, even, he would disturb the brahmanas saying their mantra, uh, Ganga up to their waist, and he would pull their legs from underneath them so they would collapse. And then he would water into his mouth, and then he would run away laughing. And all his friends would do the same thing. He was a Dakota, and they would all follow the same kind of fearless games and this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He only wanted to laugh and joke. He wanted to, when Nimai and when Krishna, when they play their games, they are so involved, they are so immersed in their mother. Yashoda, she tells Rohini to go and call Krishna back. Krishna is so immersed in his pastime games, they don't even pay attention to Rohini. He has to go back and tell Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda comes, she can't even get the attention of Krishna. Imagine the focus, the most important thing in life. But we see all children, they become completely immersed. For a young child, every moment is a game. Even if you're in a queue to buy a ticket or something, there's children there. They're always playing some game while they're there. They just play all the time. That's the nature of children. What to speak of the Supreme Lord? He manifests this playful mood all the time. So Nimai was exactly the same. And when he takes his birth, and all the relatives and so on all come and bless him, but from the very beginning, Nimai is very naughty. There was even a time a little bit later when he was into his school years and was studying. Gangadas was his tutor. And he would still be performing these childish like games of disturbing all the brahmanas. And more, the brahmanas were becoming disturbed. And one time they just took it almost too far. And so many brahmanas became disturbed. So Nimai knew that his father was going to become very anxious and come and beat him. Jagannath Mishra was very strong. He would have a stick and he would threaten the stick to Nimai. And so young Nimai understood, yes, my father is coming. And he would, what's the matter? So done? Yeah. Okay. And he would, um, what was I say? So he told all his school friends that he was vigorously playing with, when my father comes, tell my father that I haven't even been to the Ganga for a bath today. And then he ran back by another trail. Meanwhile, his father was running frantically towards the Ganga with a big stick. And when his father arrived, the boys, they told him, well, Nimai wasn't even here today. And Nimai had run back home and put dust all over his body because he'd been in the Ganga. And he splashed some ink on his body also. So it looked as if he'd just come straight from school and hadn't even been to the Ganga. How tricky is this? This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bold as brass, we say in English, completely fearless of performing anything like this. And his father, as soon as he saw Nimai, Nimai just gave a beautiful oceanic smile and immediately melted Jagannath Mishra's heart. And then he dropped his stick immediately and couldn't understand what was happening. What is that? Why are they all telling me like this? And the same with Sachimata. But Sachimata, the young girls, they would come and complain to Sachimata. Oh, your Nimai, he comes and takes all our offerings, our sandesh, our pera, and the bananas, etc., the flowers that we're offering. And he says, you should give them all to me. If you give them to me, you'll all get good husbands. And if you don't give me your offerings, you'll get terrible husbands. You'll have a blind husband with 6 co-wives. So they all became very afraid and they would give their offerings to Nimai, but then they became confused and they would run to Mother Sachi. Why is your boy saying like this? You know what? And Mother Sachi was hearing all these things, just like Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda regularly hears these types of accusations about Krishna. But what happens? Her heart just somehow is melting more and more in affection and attraction, because when they look at their sons just beam radiant smiles, and they can't. It can't be true what they're saying. You see, this is their trickery. They know what beautiful smiles they have, They know how they can melt the heart of their mother and fathers, and they just perform these acts, really naughty acts. What about Krishna when he breaks the butter, the yogurt container? Such a naughty thing to do. His mother was just trying to turn the stove down, and yet the whole pot, he very carefully breaks on the bottom, knowing that all the yogurt's going to run out. Doesn't break it on the top. His mother, poor mother, she's been making that yogurt, but Krishna, he wants to teach his mother a lesson. Anyway, these beautiful pastimes that happen in Krishna Lila also happen in this place of the Yog Pit, which is Antardvipa, which is Navadvipa, Dham. And so many pastimes happen there. What else? Um, one very beautiful pastime happens here when this Brahman, he comes, very pious, elevated, um, renounced, mendicant Brahmana. He comes, and Jagannath Mishra immediately realizes this is like a very saintly personality. And he offers him much foodstuff, because that was the tradition. They wouldn't cook for them. They would offer them foodstuffs so they could cook themselves for their Thakurji. So he had a Thakurji Gopal, and he was worshipping Gopal. And he made a beautiful preparation. And as soon as he sat down to make the offering, Nimai came in and just stood in front of him and began eating the offering. This Brahman flipped out, became so disturbed, and shouted loudly, at the boy, "Hey, go! What's happening?" And became really disturbed. And immediately Mother Sachi came and Jagannath Mishra came running, because they really they were worshipping this saintly Brahman, and they were so unhappy and so apologetic, and they took Nimai out and scolded him sincerely. And the Brahmin said, "Oh, it must be my destiny to fast today." And Jagannath Mishra, Sachimata, they begged, "No, no, no, please, please, you cook again." When they cleaned the whole kitchen, got all new ingredients and everything, "You please do it all again." So the Brahmana thought for some time, and then, okay, he decided, I'll do it all again. So again, he cooked all the preparations for his Gopal. And again, even though Nimai had been taken to another house this time, still somehow or other, clever Nimai had escaped when he knew the Brahmana began to offer the preparations. And again he came in and was eating. And this time, when he shouted, and Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata came, they were so unhappy. They were beside themselves for spoiling this Brahmana's opportunity to offer to his Gopal. This is how they thought. And then Jagannath Mishra was absolutely furious. So then he took Nimai and locked him in a room. This time they locked him in a room completely. And now it was really late at night. Now it's maybe 8 or 9 o'clock at night. This is way past his sort of general breaking fast time. But still they requested, please, please, again, you must be. And even Vishwarup, it's described, comes in. Even Vishwarup touches the feet of this saintly Brahman and requests him piteously, "You please." Vishwarup has such a gentle, convincing personality, not like the mood of Nimai, who's much more, what do you call, active. But Vishwarup was much more gentle, and beseeched the Brahman to again cook. And Sachimata cleaned all the kitchen again for the third time. And again, this Brahman decided to cook. And he again offered everything. And as he was offering, even though Nimai was locked in his room, he appeared in front of the Brahman again and began eating. And now the Brahmana just couldn't even speak, couldn't even shout. He was so shocked. But at this time, Nimai immediately manifested his four-armed form, I think, or six-armed form, six-armed form, his Sadbhuj form. And immediately the Brahman was pacified. And then Nimai, he explained many times in Krishna Lila, you also came and you fed me many times. And I'm reciprocating with your sincere prayers for offering me this boga. And I'm grateful for this boga. and may you constantly be blessed with pure Krishna bhakti in your whole life. But you must not share this revelation to anybody. This must be totally secret. So this Brahmin, he was, his hair standing on end, tears pouring from his eyes, completely weeping in ecstasy, having this darshan of Nimai. And then the Brahmin, um, he stays close by, it's described, the house of Jagannath and Sachimata, and he observes Nimai performing all his pastimes, but he never says anything. He just becomes very, very silent, and he never talks about the revelation that Mahaprabhu, because Mahaprabhu is in his covered incarnation. Although when he was born, I was explaining yesterday, it appears that everyone seems to know that some remarkable personality has taken birth. But then quickly Yogamaya is covering his nature. Because Advaita Acharya, he was the one calling. And Advaita Acharya, his place is just right next door. So young Nimai would be sent by Mother Sachi daily to bring Vishwarup back from the house of Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya would be um, uh, discoursing on the precepts of Shuddha Bhakti. And Gadadhar Pandit would be there, Jagadananda Pandit would be there, uh, Mukunda Dutt would be there, all these personalities, great Vaishnava, Srivas Thakur would be there, and Advaita Acharya would be speaking, teaching. The Bhagavad Gita, principally, is described. And Sachimata would send Nimai to come and bring Vishwarup back for his prasadam time. And every time Nimai came into that assembly, everyone would stop speaking and just be totally spellbound by the absolute beauty of Nimai. And even the grave, sober Advaita Acharya would become softened, and his face would brighten up beautifully, and his heart would melt when he saw young Nimai come in and request Vishwarup to come back for his prasad. And Nimai would look at him and be thinking, why don't you recognize me? You called me, you shouted so loudly, I've come, but you're not recognizing me. But at Vaitracharya, of course, he'd been covered by Yogamaya to not make that revelation yet, because Nimai wanted to enjoy recklessly his restless childhood pastimes. If his identity had been revealed, how could any of those pastimes have manifested? Jagannath Mishra, Sachimata would have gone into a mood of Vasudeva and Devaki. They would have had awe and veneration for him. So that had to be um, avoided. That to maintain that absolute Madhurya ras. So then his identity had to be covered completely. So there are so many pastimes growing up, and when Nimai, he um, he's about a 15, 16-year-old youth, and at that time, the Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra are searching for a wife for him, and Sachimata would regularly go to Naragia Ghat, Nagariya Ghat, Nagariya Ghat, which is just near Barakona Ghat. There's Barakona Ghat and Nagariya Ghat near the Yog Pit. And there she sees this beautiful Lakshmi Priya, and they make the arrangements for her wedding with young Nimai. And Nimai at that time, he's performing his um, scholastic studies. He's Nimai Pandit now, and he's very restless even as a Pandit, and he's very intent on defeating everybody else, which he does very easily. So this is the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that we're witnessing in the form of child Nimai. So he marries Lakshmi Priya, and then we know After some time, Nimai Pandit, he takes many of his followers by then, because initially he was in the school of Gangadas, but then he leaves that school of Gangadas and manifests his own school, and he teaches himself in the house of Nandaracharya. He stays in that place and he teaches his own students there. And he decides to go to Bangladesh. At that time, it wasn't Bangladesh, but today it's Bangladesh, that area, on a tour. And he takes all his followers with him. But Lakshmi Priya suffers so deep separation during that separation time that she leaves her body. And when Nimai returns, everyone is really devastated. But Nimai, he accepts that very quickly and realizes that this is all part of his Leela. And we were saying yesterday how Lakshmi Priya is the Shri potency from Vaikuntha. These three potencies, Shri, Bur, and Nila, these three Lakshmis of Vaikuntha are manifesting as the wives of Mahaprabhu to propagate Shuddha Bhakti, devotion to Krishna in the world. They are supporting that mood. And then as Nimai um, grows older, then again his mother is thinking perhaps he should marry again, because Nimai is still comparatively young. He's only 18, 19, 20 years old at this time. And then Mother Sachi, she sees Vishnu Priya, very beautiful, chaste uh, daughter of a very um, potent Brahmana. And she requests that Brahman to give his daughter in the hand of her Nimai. And again, that marriage takes place, and Nimai marries Vishnu Priya. And then, but almost immediately after his marriage to Vishnu Priya, he meets Ishvara Puripad. And then Nimai's whole life actually transforms. And from there, then he goes to Gaya to take his, because his father, on the departure of Vishwarup, Vishwarup was so dear to Jagannath Mishra, just like Nityananda was so dear to Hadai Pandit. And Hadai Pandit, he leaves this world after Nityananda has gone with that traveling sannyasi, Lakshmi Pati, and he can't tolerate the separation. And Jagannath Mishra is the same. Vishwarup was quite satisfied in the home with the Vaishnava community there, headed by Advaita Acharya. And Gadadhar would always be there also, and the other Srivas Thakur, the other personalities, and he was quite happy in that company. But one night he overheard his mother and father, Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, talking about his marriage, and this was too much for him to. He knew that he didn't want to get into some debate about it, and he knew that this desire, which we see today in Indian families, it never leaves them. It doesn't matter how, whatever the circumstance, the mother and father, they always want their child to get married. They can't be peaceful until their child's married. So Vishwarup is understanding this, so he very quietly leaves the home in the middle of the night. And they all realize that he's just gone and taken sannyas, because this is the way that those sadhaks would take sannyas in those days. It's like my Gurudev did the same. He just left the home uh, from his family, etc. So Vishwarup, he just left the home and he travels in South India, and then we know he takes the name Sankaranya and becomes that sannyasi. But after his departure, then Nimai takes a change in his restless nature, and he settles down much more to give nourishment to um, his bereaved mother and father. But then very soon after that, his father leaves this world, and then Nimai has to give shelter to his mother. But even during this time of shelter, the restless Nimai is still manifesting in different instances. And there's the beautiful pastime that Vrindavan Das Thakur describes in their house, of when Nimai comes home one day and he requests a garland and oil to go and honor Ganga Mata. And his mother doesn't have a garland immediately ready for him. And Nimai, he absolutely hits the roof like we can't imagine. And he becomes so furious that his mother hasn't got a garland at this particular time. And in such a fit of rage, he breaks everything in the house, all the hanging herbs and spices and so on, the pots, everything, everything, even smashes the doors, the window, everything. Even at the end, he goes out and takes a stick and starts beating the earth in such a fit of rage. And this can be a bewildering pastime if we don't understand what it's actually demonstrating. It's demonstrating the extremity of tolerance that is in Mother Sachi. Mother Yashoda, she demonstrated all kinds of tolerance with the breaking of a pot of yogurt, but not tolerance in comparison to what Sachi Mata had to endure with Nimai Pandit. So Nimai Pandit is performing these incredible pastimes to heighten everyone's total understanding of the complete tolerant nature of Mother Sachi. And then Nimai eventually in this pastime he just faints he passes out on the ground in his rage. His mother quickly goes and gets a garland. She comes back, washes his face, and she's not at all while this is going on, his mother is hiding in fear. Nimai would never touch his mother, but she's hiding in fear of all the crashing uh, shells and everything that Nimai's breaking. And then um, she washes his face and very humbly gives him the garland and the oil. Now you please go and take your bath. But they have nothing to cook in the house. He goes to take his bath and he's going to come back and want his prasad. So Mother Sachi has to go quickly next door. She has to, and Ishan, the servant, is there, and they quickly take some ingredients from the floor. And somehow or other, they manage to prepare Nimai's meal for when he returns. But these are extraordinary pastimes that only the Supreme Lord could manifest in such a remarkable way. So this is another pastime that takes place in the Yog Pit where we've come. So many, many pastimes that um, we hear at this incredible um, meeting place, this Yog Pit. In Krishna Lila, there are three Yog Pits. There is the first Yog Pit is at Guptakund in the early morning behind Vrindakund. And then that means a transcendental meeting of all the Nityasiddha Parikas of Krishna with Radha and Krishna in the center. And then the second Yog Pit in Braj is Radha Kund, where there's a beautiful offering of arti, etc., celebration. And then the third Yog Pit is in Sevakunj in the evening time. So these three Yog Pits. So um, this is, but here in Navadvip, as I understand it anyway, we only celebrate the single Yog Pit, which is the um, appreciation of Mahaprabhu's whole Balya and Kumara Lila, his whole childhood pastimes. All the pastimes of Nimai in Navadvip are centered around the Yog Pit, and all the Parikas are there. Advaitacharya is there, Gadadhar is there, Vakundadatta is there, Jagadananda Pandit is there, and all the different Parikas are very close by. It's not sitting. So we're going to move on now from, usually we always describe while we're here the reasons for Mahaprabhu's advent, which should be just enumerated clearly. Mahaprabhu, there are 4 reasons for his advent, and there are 3 desires that he had in his heart. So those 4 reasons are very clearly delineated by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj. My Gurudev gives a different order. He describes an internal consideration, but Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj describes the first reason is to taste his own prem. This is the principal reason for Mahaprabhu's advent. He's come to taste the prem of himself that Radhika experiences through her love and affection for him. This is why he's come. Prem ras niryase korite ashwada. That's the first reason why Mahaprabhu has advented, to taste his own prem. And the second reason that Srila Krishna's Kaviraj gives is to give service to that prem to the jivas. Rag mag bhakti loke karite prachan. Rag mag bhakti loke. Loke means worlds. Give bhakti to the whole world. To give this raganuga bhakti to the whole world. That was his desire. And then the third reason he manifested was by the loud calling of Advaita Acharya. This is the third reason. And the fourth reason he manifests was to give the holy name. To him, the holy name has always been there. Understand what this means, to give the holy name. It means that Mahaprabhu directly is empowering the holy name. So this empowerment of the holy name is what Mahaprabhu gives. So these four reasons are the four reasons for his advent. And now to understand this first reason and the second reason, we need to understand Mahaprabhu's desires. So Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanaiva Swadyenat Buddha Madhurima Kidrisho Madhya Sokyam Kasyam Mad Anubhavita Kidrisha Barilobat Tad Bhavadya Samajani Sachigadabu Sindhu Harindu. This Mahima, the greatness of Radha's love. He wants to understand the glories of Radha's love. Radha's love is so exalted and exceptional beyond its achintya. We've been discussing, especially in our 14th chapter of Jaiva Dharma. So Mahaprabhu wants to understand the glories of Radha's love. And the second desire is to taste or experience rather the madhurima, this adbhuta madhurima, the astonishing qualities within Krishna that only Radhika perceives. And by Radhika can perceive these qualities more than anyone because she has the most love for him. So this is called adbhuta, which means astonishing. Adbhuta madhurima. This is his second desire. And his third desire is sokyam kasyam mad anubhavita. This sokyam means happiness. Sokyam kasyam mad anubhav, my love. Radhika becomes so blissful by receiving the sweetness of Krishna's love. So Mahaprabhu doesn't taste those exalted moods in Braj, but he's aware of Radhika's love for him, which is greater than his love for her. So he wants to taste that love. How extraordinary that Krishna wants to taste the love of his highest, topmost devotee. This is extraordinary. So, but this is the reality. So he manifests for these three desires to be fulfilled, and he manifests for those four reasons that I've described. So they're quite separate. There's the four and the three. So the sadhak should be familiar with these desires. So this is the teachings that we hear regularly at the Yoga Pit. There are many, many more, but we have still a journey to go. We only have a short time left now. So we leave the Yoga Pit, and then we come a few, half a kilometer further up the road, we come to Srivasangam, where Srivas Thakur lives with his four brothers. And this is where Nityananda Prabhu will stay with Srivas Thakur and his wife Malini. And we discussed some of these pastimes yesterday. But Mahaprabhu would perform all his kirtans here. It was at this place when Mahaprabhu began to uncover himself in front of the Vaishnavas after he had got the mercy of Ishvara Puripad. Then Advaita Acharya comes here, and it's here that Advaita Acharya witnesses that universal feature of Mahaprabhu. He sees the whole sky crowded with Shaktis and potencies and chariots and millions of suns. Just such an amazing, glorious exhibition of this universal form. Advaita Acharya and his wife witness this. So this is at Srivasangam. And then also at Srivasangam, the manifestation of Nrsingadev to Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur is worshipping Lord Nrsingadev, and Mahaprabhu suddenly manifests as that Lord Nrsingadev. Srivas Thakur is completely astonished. And then Murari Gupta, he's worshipping there, and Mahaprabhu manifests as Varahadev in front of Murari Gupta, demonstrating his boar incarnation. So all of these amazing, which would appear like Aishwarya pastimes, but still they're not, because the devotees who are witnessing them, their internal madhurya will cover that Aishwarya conception. They will see him like that for a moment, but then Yogamaya will bring them back by Nimai's desire. Yogamaya again will cover them to seeing that he's just Nimai Pandit. And then Nimai himself, even though he's demonstrating, he is that one, because he has to demonstrate to everyone that, to his devotees, that he is that supreme one that Advaita Acharya called. So, but then again, he's acting as the devotee because that's his lila, is to act as in the covered form as his own devotee. It's such a complex lila in one respect that Mahaprabhu is acting in this way. So we see all these pastimes unfolding in Srivasa Angam, and we see the Satpraharya Kirtan, this 21 hours continuous Kirtan every night. This is the Rasa Lila of Navadvip. We hear Navadvip and Vrindavan are the same, but the Rasa Lila in Navadvip takes place. It's the Kirtan Ras, the Sankirtan Ras. This is the Ras Lila. It's the Sankirtan Ras. And this takes place every single night in the house of Srivasangam for a whole year. Every night, just like Ras Lila took place every night for a whole year in Braj, then the Ras Lila takes place here. And my Gurudev describes that Nimai is experiencing that Madanakya Mahabhav internally at that time. This is what he came to experience. When he's Krishna, he only experiences Mahabhav up to the level of Mahabhav. But knowing that Radhika and some of the elevated gopis, Lalita, Vishaka, etc., experience Ruda and Adiruda. Only Radha experiences this Adiruda Mahabhav. But he knows that they are experiencing higher extremity of bliss, and that's what he wants to taste. So in these Ras Kirtans, Sankirtan Ras, in Shiva Sangam, internally he's experiencing that Madanakya Mahabhav. That's the understanding. So Shiva Sangam is a very, very special, beautiful place to be. And we hear some of these pastimes there. On the Parikrama path journey, we don't hear all the pastimes because we don't have time. Actually, Parikrama Gatar is supposed to be just short and brief because we have to travel, we have to eat, we have to do so many things as well. So I'm fortunate to have this opportunity to speak at much length on these live streams. We can speak more detail about them. Now, after Srivasangam, we walk for perhaps almost a kilometer to the Chaitanya Math. This Chaitanya Math was originally Chandra Bhavan. This let's see, the house of Chandra Bhavan. Yes. So originally the house of um, Chandrasekhar. It was the house of Chandrasekhar. And this was acquired by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who utilized it after the departure of his glorious father and Srila Gokishoras Babaji. At that time, when he began his mission, Srila Gokishoras Babaji was was actually not on the planet anymore, and his samadhi was on the other side of the river. So there was a beautiful pastime where that samadhi was pulled across the river by Srila Bhakti Biran Keshav Maharaj and installed here at the Chaitanya Math. In the Chaitanya Math is Radha um, Giridhari. That's the names of the beautiful deities that are there. in the Radha Gandhavika Giridhari, I think it's called. You remember somebody? No, no one remembers. Huh? Gandhavika Giridhari. Is it? Yeah, this is the original Chaitanya Math where we've come to. We spoke briefly on all the other little mutts. They're not so little though. As we were coming up the path, all those places on the. Oh, here we are. Sri Gauranga and Gandhavika Giridhari, yes, established by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. This Radha Gandhavika Giridhari. So these very beautiful deities are there. And also, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati himself was placed in his samadhi at this place in a very beautiful ceremony conducted by his most powerful disciples. And they established the very center for all of the mission of Jagat Guru Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He spread his mission not only over India but over the whole world. And the very center of that mission is in the Chaitanya Math. We say Akara Mat Raj Sri Chaitanya Math. Every morning we say this, Akara Mat Raj, this original king of all mats is that Chaitanya Math. So we visit there today very joyfully, and we see the beautiful extensive preaching that they've done within that one. They have Radhakund and Shamakund there, they have Giriraj Govardhan there, and the beautiful um, um, samadhi of Srila Gokishoras Babaji has there. And there's also the samadhi of Bhaktivilas Tirtha Maharaj. Bhaktivilas Tirtha Maharaj was originally Kunjabi Hari, who was like the right-hand man of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. There was one time when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was incapacitated and very, very sick, very ill. And the devotees told him, oh, he hadn't eaten anything for some days. And the devotees told him, oh, your Kunjabi Hari has arrived. And immediately Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati sat up, and they realized what an affectionate mood he had toward, because Kunjabi Hari, as he was called originally, he used to work in a post office, but he would give all of his earnings to the mission of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and he supported him when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati basically had nothing, and when Kunjabi Hari didn't have very much, but whatever he gave. So he helped him establish his whole mission. This was Kunjabi Hari, who eventually became Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj. He took this ashram after the departure of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, because we know the history that this Kunjabi Hari and Ananta Vasudev, who was was the left-hand man and the right-hand man of uh, um, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, they argued because one was more of a practical application of the truths, and the other was more of a Brahminical focus, and they clashed very soon. And then it was all in the courts for a long time. Then the whole mission became fragmented, which I described carefully at the beginning, was actually greatly to our advantage today. It's nothing to lament about. We see it as an act of providence, has arranged it in such a way that all these luminaries would have their own place to fill it with their own lights and their own perspectives on the jewels of Sachinandan Gaurahari. So we stay in this Chaitanya Math for some time, and we look at the different. They got many dioramas there. They got a beautiful exhibition there. This was the mood of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in his preaching mission. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati knew that the devotees would be invigorated by preaching this mission. They would get life for themselves as well as spread Maha Prabhu's mission all over the world. So every house
and village would hear of the sound vibration of the holy name. And we see today what is the result. It's a fact that every village on the planet has been exposed at some point to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It has happened. We've seen that like that. But at the time of uh, Saraswati Thakur, that was not the case at all. But this was the desire of Mahaprabhu to spread this Hare Krishna mantra to every single person. So this was successful entirely. And how things will proceed, we will see. But at the moment, there are millions and millions in the world who are chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra and gradually coming more to a platform of pure Shuddha Bhakti in their um, uh, journey of connecting with their soul's relationship with the Supreme Lord, with Brajendranandan Sham Sundar. So there's so many teachings of Mahaprabhu on different levels that are manifesting, but the principal chanting of Hare Krishna is the principal focus that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati wanted to establish worldwide. And then we leave this, by this time usually, this is usually midday or later when we arrive at the Chaitanya Math, and all the devotees are quite tired, but we still got a journey to go to Simantadvip, which is the next island up, because there are 9 islands, and during our parikrama, we want to cover all of these 9 islands. So now we've been engrossed in Antardvipa. This is the main central island, but now we're going to walk from Chaitanya Math north again to come to the Chankazi place, his residence. Chankazi in Krishna Lila is Kamsa. This is described because Mahaprabhu, he refers to the Chankazi as being like his maternal uncle. Who is Krishna's maternal uncle? His mother's uncle, his mother's brother. That is Kamsa. So he refers to the Chankazi as his maternal uncle. So it's described by the Acharyas. This is none other than the Kamsa. And we know the pastime that actually he comes to Srivasangam and he breaks the mridanga. He makes, because Mahaprabhu is infusing so much enthusiasm within to the devotees, that their kirtan ras is taking off, and the Muslims are controlling, and they find this will be a threat to their order of controlling. So they want to stamp on it quickly, and they prohibit the chanting, congregational chanting. But this is what Mahaprabhu has come for. And we've already ascribed today the boldness and restless nature of Nimai as a child, what to speak when he's an adult. He will not tolerate any hold on his mission of spreading this holy name around the world. So when this act, direct, overt act of breaking the mridanga happens in the home of Srivas Thakur, that then Mahaprabhu decides now he has to act. And it's the first example of the civil disobedience order. In India, they don't generally stand up against authority in this way. But Mahaprabhu, he broadcast everywhere in Navadvipa, every person should get a torch and we'll come out. This Chankazi, he's threatening to stop us from chanting this congregational chanting of the holy name. But I will not be constrained by that. So he instructs all his followers to go and tell everybody in the township of Navadvip to come in the evening for a most magnificent kirtan. This is after the Chankazi just banned it. So he's going to go straight in his face like this. And then all the residents, describe millions of them, come out with burning torches. And the Sankirtan is divided into different parties, and the parties are so thunderous in their kirtan. And they converge all on the the Chankazi's palace where he stays. The Chankazi, all his servants have fled. The Chankazi is just there alone. And it's described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat how um, the local residents from Navadvip, they're infuriated with this restriction on their chanting. And they all break into the garden, they smash all the garden, the pots and everything. And the Chankazi, he's trembling inside because we understand the night before, Lord Nrsingadev appeared in his dream of the Chankasi and practically attacked him in his dream and scratched his chest in the dream, ordering him never ever to try to restrain this Sankirtan movement and mission. So the Chankasi has had strong prior mourning through this dream that he had the night before. So when Mahaprabhu comes, Mahaprabhu is very gentle with him. Mahaprabhu just requests him to come and tells his followers, don't be breaking everything like this, have more respect like that. And the Chankasi very sheepishly comes down and they have a beautiful discussion. And Mahaprabhu asks him at this time, why do you kill the mother cow? Particularly, he points on this um, activity that the Muslims all do. And the Chankasi, he understands what Mahaprabhu is saying. And he says, from here on, I will declare that the Muslims here will not kill the cows. And even today, we have the pastime in the Jaivadama. Those servants of the Chankasi, they come to debate with the Vaishnavas, and they are vegetarians. They don't kill because they're following the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that time. So Mahaprabhu makes a great impact at that time. But more than anything, he makes a great impact on the faith of all his followers to actually put this Sankirtan Ras on the top priority of their lives, and nothing will be able to actually hinder or restrict this movement. So this is the pastime we always appreciate when we come to Simulya. This Simulya gets its name from when one time Shivji, he was um, frantically dancing his Tandav Nitya, dancing this huh? Nataraj, yes, the king of dance, with so much ecstasy in this place of near Antardvipa, and Parvati was just astonished that he was exhibiting so much ecstasy. I want to read this part from here because it's very beautifully described here. This is more beautiful. Shivji began to describe the glories, and then she requested him, why are you dancing so ecstatically? So Shivji began to describe the glories of Sri Gauranga to Parvati. Inspired by his description, Parvati came here and performed austerities, and finally she had darshan of Sri Gauranga. She then begged to be able to take part in his upcoming Leelas. Mahaprabhu mercifully replied, since you are my inseparable energy, Durgama or Yogamaya, you are always an associate in my pastimes. As my internal energy, you are as dear to me as Sri Radha, and as the external energy, you are a manifestation of Radhika known as Durga Devi or Parvati. As Yogamaya, you manifest my pastimes, and as Purnamasi in Braj, you nourish them. Now, in Navada, Navadvip, you eternally reside as Prodamaya, along with Ketrapal, Shivji. We didn't mention his name at the Yog Pit, but in the behind the Yog Pit, I made an omission, is this Vriddha Shiva is residing there behind um, the hall or behind that birthplace of Nimai in the Yog Pit. There is, or Ketrapal Shivji, he's there in a small, beautiful lingam form, and we circumambulate that also. Very, very auspicious place. So he's residing there. And also in Prodamaya across the river now. Um, Now in Navadvip, you eternally reside as Prodamaya. Proda means ancient, like the ancient Maya. That's the original Maya. Along with Ketrapal Shivji, you bewilder those who are indifferent to me, Mahaprabhu, and help those who turn towards me to become attracted to my service. So two services, one helping the devotee come to Krishna, and the other bewildering the devotee who turns away from Krishna. So in both cases. Hearing this, Parvati became overwhelmed in ecstasy and took the foot dust of Mahaprabhu in her hands and placed it where her hair parts in the middle. This parting in the hair is called Simanta. Hence, Parvati became known as Simantini Devi. Thus, today, this place is known as Simantadvip. So, if we look on the map, it's immediately above Antardvip, and it actually stretches right around. And when we come to the island of Godrum, which will be the day after tomorrow, this Simantadweep actually stretches round in its original form, and the Shringapali actually is in this Simantadweep originally, but now we consider it's in Godrum Dweep because of the changing currents of the river, etc., locations like that. So this is the reason for Simantadweep's name, and this is equivalent to Belvan in Vrindavan. So I'm looking at the little Navadvipa Parikrama book, and it's here in all in like bullet form. Oh, and there's one more place we can just mention briefly. We have time for Shrida Angam. This place of Kolavecha Shrida was a dear follower and disciple of Maha Prabhu. He's actually a one of the Dwadasa Gopals, one of the 12 Gopals, the 12th Gopal of Nityananda Prabhu. His name is Kusumasava in Krishna Lila as a Saka, and he performs beautiful pastimes with Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu comes every day to buy his bananas or his banana, what they call the inside of the banana tree, banana spaths, I think they're called, and they cook, etc. So Sridhar is very poor, and Mahaprabhu is always trying to bring his price right down to nothing, and they have a beautiful relationship between the two of them. And then Mahaprabhu ends up by getting the goods practically for nothing. And Sridham is always thinking, oh, I've been cheated, etc. And yet he's very happy. He doesn't feel any animosity. And then in Mahaprabhu's Satvaharya pastimes in Shivasangam, then Mahaprabhu reveals that you've been my eternal servant life after life after life. And in Krishna Lila also you were there. And there's the nature of their relationship is revealed. So we come to visit that home. When Mahaprabhu would perform his Sankirtan during his manifest pastimes, began the Sankirtan um, movement and went all over Navadvip Dham. And he would sometimes come to the house of Kolavecha Sridhar, and he would drink the water from his broken pot and feel great ecstasy. Kolavecha Sridhar would chant the holy name all night very, very loudly, and the locals thought that he was mad and he was chanting loudly because he was hungry. But they didn't understand the nature and activities of a pure devotee. But Mahaprabhu was so affectionate to him. He lay down in his house. They all took rest there in the house of Shiva Sangam. So these are some of the pastimes that we've touched on today in the glorious island of Antardvipa, which has so many pastimes that can be opened out. I've tried to go very quickly through all the actual places, and we've said some details about the places, but really we need to have a solid day, just like when Jiva Goswami was being taken around by Nityananda Prabhu in the Navadvip Dharma Hatmya description by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They spent the entire day roaming around Antardvip and Simantadvip. And also in Simantadvip is Jagannath Dev, Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. There's a beautiful temple of theirs there, just near the Chanka. When we go to the Chankazi today, um, many times actually that front gate is locked. It's got a bolt, and only one person can get through at a time. For some reason or other, it's like that. They don't usually open the gates fully. I don't know whether the gates were open today or not. But always there's a single flower. There's a beautiful um, champak tree there in the courtyard. Very, very ancient tree. And this was the same tree that was there when the Chankazi's palace was there. And Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy onto the Chankazi. And that tree was recipient of that atmosphere of mercy manifesting from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And even today, in any season, there's always one flower on the tree, one beautiful, blooming, fragrant flower on the tree. So to go into the pastimes of the Chankazi, etc., are quite extensive. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes it in the 11th chapter of Jaiva Dharma. So we can read that. So I'm going to stop now, and we can all return to our places and be grateful to have walked through this remarkable island of Antardvipa today, the very center of Maha Prabhu's pastimes, where from here this holy name has radiated out to touch so many hearts in the whole world. So Sri Antardvipa ki jai. Antardvipa also is Gokul and Golok and Mathura. This is what it is. This is what it represents. Antardvipa represents all these places. So I'm going to stop and thank you all for your patience in listening. And I hope that I've expressed something to describe the glories of this remarkable Dham, starting from Antardvipa and Simantadvipa. And tomorrow, because here in India, tomorrow for us in Navadvipa anyway, is Ekadashi. I think in Vrindavan it might have been yesterday, but today, tomorrow, it's here. And we'll go to Rudradvip tomorrow, because generally that's a shorter day, and so that's more convenient for the pilgrims and the yatris to walk a shorter distance, because we fast up until midday tomorrow following the Ekadashi Vrat, and then we take later on midday afternoon. So we'll go to Rudradvip tomorrow and follow Ekadashi tomorrow. So Sachinandan Gauda Hari Ki Jai, Gaud Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga Jaya Gaura Hari, Nitai Gauranga Jaya Gaura Hari, Gaura 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 Hari. Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hari, Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hari, Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hari. Oh, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Gaura Hari. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Gaura Hare Bol, Jai Gaura Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Jai Gaura Hare Bol, Jai Gaura Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Gaura Hare Bol, Jai Gaura Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Gaura Hare Bol. Jaya Nitai, Jaya Go, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Go, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Go, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Go. Oh, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Haribo, Gaura Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Premanandi, Hari Haribo. Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Madan Mohan Ju ki jai, Radha Govinda Ju ki jai, Radha Gopinath Ju ki jai, Antardvipa ki jai, Navadvipa Parikrama Day 1 ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Shila Gurudev ki jai, Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo, Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnave Namo Namaha, Gaur Premanandi.